What is going down, you freaking beautiful ass people, you? Where you been? Where have I been? Where you? Hey, what's happening? What's happening? Check us out, man. I want to talk about something that came to me. We have basically five brains. Um, you have the cerebrum, the cerebellum, the medulla oblongata, the heart, and then the solar plexus. Um, when the brain first develops, there's called a neuro tube. It's kind of like it looks like a hot dog, only it's real teeny. The embryo, about 16 days, 16, 17 days, the embryo begins to develop. In about 16 days, this neuro tube looks like a worm, sort of. And literally you have, what would be your brain stem, your spinal, back here. Then you would have your um, hind brain, midbrain, front brain. Now, that little hot dog, in about the end of the 5th week, is going to make its first electrical it's going to make its first basically electrical pulse. It's sending out information, and the heart is starting to develop, and I believe the brain is going to orchestrate what's happening, right? So as this tube starts to develop, the head of it starts to get bigger, like my fist. Like if you can imagine it's skinny down here, and then it starts to get fatter up here. This is the brain stem, the spinal cord. This would be your hind brain. This is your lower chakra sheet, your lower primal, your midbrain, and your forebrain. This is where we are advanced. And over time, this tube, it'll grow into, the brain that we know, that's shaped like what it's shaped like. So anyway, and it's kind of like it grows on top of itself. Because you got the cerebellum here, and then you've got what's called the midbrain, where the pons and the medulla oblongata is, and that controls your cardiovascular, breathing, things of that nature. The medulla. That's why I call that one of your brain. That brain controls your body, your basically your heartbeat, your blood flow, blood pressure, your breathing. Things that digestive, things that you need to live. Your cerebrum, I've heard that be called the God brain. Cerebellum is the man brain. Cerebellum is where you learn motor functions. When you get up and you walk as a kid, boom, you fall down, you get up and you walk, you remember how to walk, and then you learn how to run through it in your memory, your muscle memory, and you learn how to throw a baseball, and then a coach teaches you how to, extend your arm, turn your body, and step into it if you're going to be a pitcher. You do this every day and every day and every day, and you train, and the muscle memory, and to where you don't even think about it anymore. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's so, it's like playing a guitar. Your fingers, you start off slow, smooth as fast. And, so that's the cerebellum. That's back here in the back. It's a little part of your brain in the back. And then the cerebrum's up here. And I think they call that the God brain because that's where, you'll decide what is... you'll make the judgments on, what is socially acceptable, or what is, if murder is okay with you or not. That's where you're going to make those decisions. That's where you're going to, when you go after things, or when you try to do reasoning, like when you're trying to figure out what's going on around you and who's doing what to who, and you're trying to, your brain up in there where you're thinking, and you're constantly, and then you're trying to manipulate and go where you're going, and whatnot. And so, that's part of the brain that's developed. Like that's like the most modern part of our brain, where we're actually, figuring out consciousness and everything through that part of our brain. That's how we figure out how to go to the moon, and figure out how to, because we use reasoning, logic, judgment, We use, different kinds of reasoning like deductive, inductive, abductive, and that's what that part of the brain's for. And it's also for you to create this character that you believe that you are, and to create this, you create your reality sort of in that place. Okay, so that's why it's called the God brain, because that's where really you're deciding who you are. Are you a villain? Are you a good guy? Are you noble? Are you um, are you going to strive to be rich? Are you going to strive to be a servant to the community, or whatever and whatnot? And those decisions will be made basically in the prefrontal cortex of your brain, but it's also the cerebrum, because the whole brain, different parts of it do different things, but they all create who you are. And all of it is like basically making billions of calculations of everything going on around you, and you're making decisions based on certain parts of your brains have sensory, touch, feel, certain things. Like when you get back to your parietal cortex, your occipital is your that's obviously your vision, and it has to do with what you see, but it also has to do with the way you see it and perception, and it also has to do with actually we'll get back to that. It's pretty deep, the occipital. But anyway, so then you have your heart. That's a brain. They have found Bruce, or is it Bruce Lipton? No, it's Greg Braden, done a pretty good video lately on it, which they found this a long time ago, that there was like these cells in the heart. There were like 40,000 of them that resembled neurotransmitters, and as imagery, as the equipment that they use to see, had become better and better and better, they begin to see that those were identical to neurotransmitters, and that there was synapses going on, or synapses, whatever they call it. And, there was this, neurotransmitting and these dudes reaching out and communicating with each other, and I'll show some pictures of some of that, of what a neurotransmitter looks like. It's kind of like a bolt of lightning or roots on a tree, and they just kind of go out, and then they make connections with other neurotransmitters. And your life experience will be based on things that you think about with your heart and with your prefrontal cortex, basically. And then we're going to get into the limbic system, which is in the middle where your hypothalamus is. And the reason I want to get into that is because when I was going through trying to figure out what was going on with me, I was trying to figure out what is real, man. Why do I believe that I have these memories? I mean, are those memories real? Is it a figment of my imagination? And is this the dream? And when I dream, that's reality? You have all these questions if you get your cage rattled, and you're, I don't know, highly, if you think a lot, if you're a kind of person. So you start to ask questions, and you're, trying to figure out who the fuck you are and what's going on with you. And, so if memories are, if memories change, and my whole entire dysfunctional life has been based on horrific, things that's happened to me when I was a kid, traumatic shit, violent shit. Did it really fucking happen? I mean, should I still allow that to, because it may not even be real? I mean, that's where you kind of get, you're like, wait a minute, at least that's where I've gotten to where, and I'm getting ready to do a video on my reality, dude. It's like pliable as hell right now. It's shit's changing for me, man. Shit is changing. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's stuff in my personal life. People that were dead are now alive. One of my buddies was murdered years ago, and the way he was murdered, I knew exactly how it was. I'd seen the transcripts of the deal, and one of the guys that was there got put to death for killing my buddy, when I knew it was my other buddy that killed him. I mean, everybody knew that. And I even called my friends, and I was like, hey, dude, you remember so-and-so, Jim killed him, right? And he's like, no, Jim didn't kill him, man. So-and-so killed him. So, wow. And I've got a whole list of things, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, so getting back to our brain, the reason I'm talking about this is because if you can imagine that worm down here at this end, where I say the spinal column, that's where, and you come in and you start to get to the lower part of the brain, then the midbrain, and the forebrain, where the thoughts, where we are. But before then, if you can imagine, turn that up, and this is the chakra system, and down here is your root chakra. This is your solar, and your solar plex area. This is where all your primitive. This is where your this is where gut in that solar plexus. This is what they call gut instinct. This is when if we weren't domesticated like dogs, I'm telling you, Nietzsche thought the human race was the most pathetic species on this planet because we literally gave up our sovereignty, our powers, our everything for protection. We let people govern us. We literally work and pay them instead of being magnificent. Like, he believed that we were to have a cause of being better at something, to learn something, to be better each day, to strive to overcome something, because the measure, he felt like the purpose and the measure of a man was to overcome obstacles, and he who overcome the most obstacles was the greatest there was. That was sort of the way he thought. And Zoroaster, I think he got a lot of Zarathustra. He got a lot of his. He studied him a lot, which he was a few thousand years before him, right? But anyway, as a species, getting back to, and that's what Nietzsche thought too, is that we had given up our primal. See, we have a primal instinct that's in our gut, and it guides you. It actually gives you images of your surroundings. Like if you're being stalked by a lion, if you were not domesticated like an animal and you lived in the wild and you were going to be top of the food chain, because that's who we are, and you're going to live through your intuition, your instincts, you will use everything you have at your disposal, from clairvoyance to clairaudience to your gut feeling to your heart feeling to your brain. We don't do that anymore. We're told what we think, we're told what we feel. You turn on that channel, it tells you, whether you like Toby Keith or you like the Dixie Chicks or, whatever, blah, blah, go back and forth and all that. And, but we don't think. We don't use our heads. We don't do anything. We give it up. We give up everything that we are. We give up our intelligence. We don't think with our hearts. We don't think with our stomach. We don't think with our brain. We can use 3 of our 5 brains. The medulla oblongata, that is, like I say, that regulates all of your shit. And you can train your cerebellum, all your motor skills. These are things that you're going to learn to do. Every time your face itches, you're going to learn how to do. It's going to be almost involuntarily, so it's not really, it's something that you're going to do instinctively. A lot of times, touch something, you're going to move or wait, your motor skills, and then your motor memory, and you run from a lion, you learn that you can run really, really fast, so, and I guess you could say you control that brain, but the 3 brains that you really can control is your prefrontal cortex, the whole reasoning, the whole functioning human part of your brain, and then your heart, and then your gut. If you can align these 3, if you can get these 3 in harmony, if you can I think lead with your heart, because I think it's the purest, it's the one we guard the most and the one we never think with, because it's been hurt before, so we guard it. and we don't trust it, and we're scared to believe in it because we know that if we do and we let this thing open up, somebody's going to break it, right? So, but that's the wrong. You have to lead with your heart, and the best way is to find joy to, like I always say, creating something. You get into a you get into the here and now, but you also get into where, you know, those neurotransmitters and those synapses, they're firing up. I mean, they're fucking, you're like an electrical, like you're this current, like you're this thing, man, that you can get your batteries charged. You can get yourself, or you're just like your frequency goes up, because how could it not? I mean, these are electrons, or they're not electrons, but this electric shit going on. You know what I mean? Those little neurotransmitters, they go out and they branch off and they make connections with each other and communicate, and you know, and it's like every time you have a thought and every time you create something, and especially when you take a pencil and you got a blank piece of paper and you think, I'm gonna put this line right here, and then I'm gonna swoop it right here. Do you have any idea what you just did? It seems stupid and it seems so minute and but that's a billion times more powerful than sitting there and having somebody tell you what to think or what to feel, or which side, you know, is the best, or, you know, which God you should follow, or whatever, you know. Man, that's as good as it gets, you know what I mean? Creating something, starting with nothing, and now you've just made something just the way God did. Just the way God did. Mental. The universe is mental. Everything was created first with thought, then with vibration, with sound. Rah. The sound, you know. So, anyway, we've gotten out of our primitive brain long ago, when we started building cities and forts, and we'd come hide inside, and we'd have our guards, and we would clean the whatever horse shit or whatever you would do to get to stay in the fort or whatever, you know, and to be safe, because you wanted to be safe because you were so scared out there. So we gave up that, quit trusting it, lost track of it, lost our way with it. We don't even. That's why somebody comes up, if you was in touch with that part of your intelligence, no one would ever sneak up behind you and rob you, dude. Your stomach would give you an image of this guy coming. You would see the shit coming before it even comes, because you're evolved, because you're the top of the food chain. You have this intuition, this instinct. You know, you see a gazelle stop, and that lion, he's not smelling it. He senses it. He knows it in his gut, dude. His gut is telling him, danger, danger, danger. They don't know where it's coming from. That's why they stand still, because they don't know if it's coming left, back, what, front. So they're waiting on another sense to kick in. Any kind of the atmospheric pressure changes a little bit in one of those ears or on the hairs that go across them. They know where it's coming from. You know where it's coming from. You'll know. We lost touch with that. Our heart, I believe our heart is what's waking people up right now. I believe people have lost their freaking minds, and the heart is taking over and just saying, dude, you need help. You need to stop thinking. You need to stop thinking. But the reason I made this video, because this is what I wanted to say. I always talk about harmony, and everything is about harmony. And I really believe for us to be that Superman that Nietzsche talks about, to be superhuman, to be able to manipulate energy, to be able to heal ourselves and to help others heal. We have to be in harmony with this modern God brain that we have, our heart brain that we have, and our gut brain that we have. Those three things have to be together, working together. If one of them tells you it's wrong, it's wrong. You know, you can't just go against your heart because your mind is telling you it's okay. You can't just go against your gut because your heart is telling you it's okay. Man, you got to be in harmony. When you get into harmony with all three of these things, the direction that you want to go will always be as clear as the path will light up for you. There's no way it wouldn't. You're completely in tune. You're in tune with everything around you. You're in tune with every single gift that's been given to you so that you can be the most magnificent creature on this planet like you are, instead of acting like a fucking animal or a dog, a domesticated slave, you know, somebody who needs to be told what to do and how to feel and what to think, and told if you're safe, if you put on this seatbelt and you do this and you do that, you'll be safe. You should know whether you're safe or not. You should be in touch with that. You don't need a fucking dude to tell you if you're safe. You don't need a dude to tell you what is safe for you. You don't need somebody to tell you what you should feel. This is stuff that should come instinctual. You know, you should feel it in your gut, feel it in your heart, feel it in your head. But my boy had a hearing today, and he's getting his daughter. I'm proud of him. So, anyway, yeah, man. Get in harmony with your gut and your heart and your brain. If you can get all three of those things lined up, everything will be so, you know, because everything we do, it might feel right, you know, you're like, oh yeah, but deep in your gut, you're like, this is too good to be true, or I feel like I'm stepping on somebody's, you know, or, and your brain is the one that fucking it'll always outsmart your heart and your gut, and you really should be listening to your heart first, your gut second, and then your brain, you know. Use your brain to find a way to get to this shit. Use your heart to find out what you feel. You use your gut to check that shit and see if what you feel is worth pursuing. If that's, you know, if it's worth having to drive. You know what I mean? If it's worth, you know, can your character, can your conscience, can your, you know, it depends on the nobility of a man to me. Sometimes I think, you know, some people lower their standards, and you know, so that's maybe, you know, whatever. Some people have a higher standard, and you know, it's going to take certain things for them to pursue because they're in pursuit of something that's so much greater than themselves. I sometimes find myself thinking that's what I'm doing. So, I don't know. Sometimes I think a lot. But anyway, man, I love y'all. I hope it made some sense. But, you know, think with your heart first. You know, always follow your heart, man. That's, you know, follow your heart. Check it in your gut. And let your brain figure out how to get the shit done. And convince yourself and believe that it's coming to you. Be happy for it. Feel it in your heart. Be happy for it. Because when you create, like I say, when you create all this electricity and all these synapses, you've got all these neurotransmitters that's firing up. They're little axions, I think is what they're called. And they connect with this, and then they create this little cone thing. And there's some shit that going on. Like if you ever go see somebody who's fired up about something, and they're so passionate about that, you can feel their energy because it's coming off of them, right? Well, you're putting that out. You're putting that out into the universe. It's connected. It's going out. Those feelings and those thoughts and the charge that you put into it. That's why you'll hear people say, "Feel it, and it'll come to you." Feel it when you think about it. Feel it, it'll come to you. And the reason that they're saying that is because you create this electrical, because you know you've got that electrical magnetic field going around you. So you're creating this energy of what you want. It's what you're creating from your mental and your feeling. The gut is to check it. The gut, all it is You know, that's your, what they call editor. You send your book in, they check your spelling, and they check your dots, and check your shit. That's what your gut is. You know what I mean? So your heart, that's your idea. Your gut, that's your editor. And your head, that's the writer. That's the dude who's going to write this shit. I love you guys, man. You know I do. I got some shit coming. I'm going a whole new thing. I got to tell you about spirits been in our freaking house. They wasn't last night, but the 2 nights prior to that, off the charts again. My frequency's up like crazy right now. What else is going on in my reality is fucking changing. Oh my God. So I can't wait to get back and talk about that. But I wanted to show off my little tie because y'all never get to see me like this. Because now, I ain't, you know, can't afford me. You want to get me like this, you got to get out that pocketbook, boy. Peace. I love y'all.